Talk Radio, you're in to all things music.
I never tried to trump the success because I never tried to have the success in the first place. My thing for music is I just love music, so I always do the best that I'm going to do musically in any situation. And then it just falls wherever it lies. So it's not like I ever wrote a song saying, oh, wow, this is going to be a big smash, this one in particular. I think they're all going to be.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
To this day, people ask me, are you tired of hearing people say, who you going to call? Well, no. It's like, am I tired of holding the best lotto ticket or the best thing that ever happened? No. Who you going to call? Ghostbusters! Who can you call?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Jackie's Groove. It's Wednesday. It's October the 18th. Guys, it is going to be a fun day. Mr. Ray Parker Jr. he's a little bit under the weather, so we're going to be very gentle with this man. And with Fran Strine, we can be as wild as we want to. So with that said, guys, we're all about promotion today with this amazing new film that is in pre-production right now. I just had to qualify that with Fran to begin with itself. It's called The Titans of Raydio. I thought that was me for a second, friends. I guess you took the name from me. And this amazing conglomeration of all of these great talents. We're talking about David Foster, Jay Graydon, Crazy Jay Graydon, this gentleman by the name of Ray Parker Jr., Kenny Ordinoff, Mr. Man Who Can't Stop Talking himself, Dean Parks, my dear friend, Lee Ritenour, Leland Sklar, and Scott Edwards, and there's many, many more, as it said. So with that said, guys, I want everybody to welcome to Jackie's Groove, Mr. Ray Parker Jr., Mr. Fran Strine. Guys, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you. Good to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, thanks for coming back. Thanks for accepting the invitation. Guys, let's jump right into it. Let's talk about this new film. Is it okay if I call it a film? Called the Titans of Raydio.
It could be considered a film or maybe even a docuseries, because what we found in Hired Gun when I was making that movie was that these guys' stories were way too big for that one 90-minute piece. And, I mean, look, just traveling around with Ray and hearing his stories, I mean, you could do a 4-hour movie on his career alone, not to mention David Foster's, Jay's, Lukather, and everybody else that we interviewed. I mean, they've just played on so many hits, especially during the baby boom era, the 70s, 80s, early 90s. They were kind of the soundtrack to our lives growing up. I remember hearing the first Ray Parker Jr. song when I was a kid on FM radio, The Other Woman. And I loved that kind of like distorted guitar thing. And I was a metalhead growing up, but it was, a departure from what I usually listen to. But it definitely piqued my interest, and I loved the song. The video was hysterical, It was awesome.
And Ray, I'm gonna be one of the first guys to say out there, and I'm not embarrassed, Jack and Jill was one of my favorite tunes. Always. I can remember the video was like yesterday. Guys, we played a little clip at the top of the set, and it was a soundbite from Ray talking about, how many times is he ever sick of hearing Who You Gonna Call and Ghostbusters and so on and so forth. And I love his response, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, that when you're holding the greatest lotto ticket, how can you ever be disgruntled by what gave you your lifestyle? And so I want to ask you a question, Ray, if I may. Do you ever roll your eyes, kind of a furrow brow, when you're walking down the street? You have a distinctive look about yourself. When someone throws out that Who You Gonna Call or whatever it may be, what is your initial response? Do you kind of go, ugh, or are you happy?
That happens on a daily basis, by the way, all day, every day. And I got to tell you, every musician's dream is to have a mega hit song like that. I mean, to have it and then to say you're tired of it, I don't think I'll ever get tired of it.
And another thing, too, Ray, I was shocked about and find out, I didn't know this about yourself, but I don't know how much you are into percussion, but I noticed on the video you're playing a little timbali hits on that itself. Are you a weekend percussionist, or are you a full-time percussionist when you want to be?
A weekend percussionist.
And I saw that right away because I am a full-time percussionist and a radio guy, so I was curious about that. And Ray, can we step back for a quick second? Let's just talk about, I always tell you people, you get to know where music is going, you have to know where it started. So with that said,
Right.
when you were growing up in the Parker household, and I ask this all the time because the listeners want to find out, Ray, what was coming through the speakers at the Parker household? What was your inspirations growing up?
Well, at 6 years old, I was playing the clarinet. And what was going through the speakers were, I think there was Keener Radio, CKLW, and WCHB, and WJOB were the radio stations. And I was hearing everything from the Lovin' Spoonfuls singing What a Day for a Daydream, which is one of my favorite songs, to Bob Dylan singing Everybody Let's Get Stoned, to the Beatles, to Temptation singing My Girl, and, Marvin Gaye, That Peculiar, that kind of stuff.
And was there a certain age, you said at the age of 6, but Ray, was there a certain timeline in your life where you realized that you had it?
Had hits?
No, that you had it,
many,
IT.
Many
you knew
years
you
later.
had it.
I just wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to. Oh, I had it. Okay, even it. No, I was grown before I thought, maybe I could do this for a living. Just everything I was doing as a young kid, going on tour at 13, 14. I just thought I was the luckiest guy in the world if somebody thought I could play that well and they were going to take me with them. It hadn't really occurred to me to do it full time until I was probably in my early 20s.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I got to give you props too, Ray, because on The Hired Gun, this amazing award-winning documentary that we helped promote and still are promoting with Mr. Fran Strine, award-winning, but there's a great stories. I love the story, Ray, when it was brought to you. I can't remember exactly who it was telling you, hey, man, on Sunset Boulevard, you got to see this black billboard that has nothing on it. And then the following week, there was that red circle with a line through it. And then the following week was the quintessential Ghostbuster logo. When you knew that was going down, and of course, we all want our fame and notoriety to be noticed, but on Sunset Boulevard, for those who don't live in California, that is a billboard of success. When you finally realized that this was your voice lent to this music, how many times did you drive back and forth to see that sign? And I'm being honest.
Well, believe it or not, I think the sign was probably just about gone by then, because they were doing that to promote the movie when it was first coming out. So I saw it before the film came out, before they even asked me to write the song, and I was sitting in Spago and got the phone call to actually write the song while I was looking at the billboard and still didn't know what it was.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I still didn't know what it was. I mean, it was just a black billboard, and they were painting a red circle. So nobody knew what it was. It was still in the teaser stage.
And Ray, did you collab on that song? I know the answer, but tell the listening audience out there.
Well, when you say collab, what does that mean?
Co-writer itself, musician-wise and so on, or was this 100% Ray Parker Jr.?
No collaboration, 100% Ray.
And what was the motivation? What they kind of gave you a synopsis, maybe even a storyboard of what this movie was
The
all
motivation
about.
was easy. I was going back to Detroit to take care of my parents, and the guy said, "I'll give you $50,000 if you stay 3 more days and work on the song."
I love it.
That's their motivation.
And it even said if it wasn't a hit, you're going to get the money anyways. You got to watch out. Yeah, man.
Yeah, there's your motivation. Simple American motivation.
Bottom line. And do you know what the overall sales was over all these years to date of how many units
I
that
think
pushed?
last I heard it's in so many different versions because it's like that kind of a song was Halloween, but I think it was the last number I heard years ago was over 35 million versions of it. So different ways, probably more.
And
now.
Fran, if I can jump in here itself, when you went after Ray to be part of this situation, let's go back to The Hired Gun. Was there any trepidations of you itself? Did you find any Ray being standoffish, or was he ready to jump into bed with you, so to speak, on this documentary Hired Gun?
The reason that we got a hold of Ray was because of Jay Graydon. Otherwise, I don't know if we would have got him in the movie or not. I'm sure he may have said yes, but Jay Graydon was very instrumental in getting us, not only Ray, but Steve Lukather, David Foster, of course, and a bunch of those guys. And, I didn't know this at the time, but Ray, always says to me, he goes, man, I look so tired in my interview because I think he just gotten back from Japan the night before and still took,
Exactly.
we were at his house for 5 or 6 hours probably interviewing him. So, there's stuff on the cutting room floor that just blow your mind that was never seen. And again, that's why we're doing Tides of Raydio, because his story must be told. I mean, it's really, really cool how it all came together, and especially from his early childhood in Detroit, with all the civil rights unrest going on at that
Right.
period. And he worked so hard to get out of there, and the way it happened was really cool and inspirational.
I speaking of, you mentioned Lukather. I just talked to Steve a couple days ago. He's going to be on the show around Thanksgiving, so I'll let you know more about that itself. And Ray, what I loved about this whole situation, because even on the documentary on Hired Gun, Steve Lukather had said that he was on at least 30 of the top songs that were on the radio. So when the business was greatly, greatly, greatly different than it is today. And Ray, in your professional opinion, what is it about today's music that makes you optimistic, or let's use the word music business, or are you pessimistic of what's happening right now?
Well, everybody's pessimistic because the music business changed. I'm pretty optimistic because I think it changes every 7 years anyway. So I think
Absolutely.
It gives the new kids a chance to take control of it and do something new. And I think if the music business didn't change, the hierarchy of the old guys who run the big companies would just own everything, and everybody would just be a slave to them. So I think it's actually positive that every 6 or 7 years it changes.
Well, let me ask you this question, Ray. Do you get today's music? I don't want to sound like our parents, but do you get what's going on in today's music?
Well, you know what? I was a little lost during some of the gangster rap years when they were talking about kill your mama, kill the president, shoot
Right.
everybody.
Right.
That took me down some way, and there was a point there where there was no melody and people were singing in the wrong key and all that, and the beat was bad. But, it seems to be taking a turn for the better now. I mean, there's songs I hear on the radio that I can actually understand and align with. There's always some stuff that's probably past I'm going to call it the generation gap, for lack of a better term. But there's a lot more music now I hear in the last 5 years as opposed to like 20 years ago.
Is there a situation right now, Ray? Let's talk about, can we step away from the documentary for a second, the movie? Is there any new music that you're currently working on right now that we need to know about?
Yeah, you need to know about, not only am I working on some of my music, which takes me forever because I'm slow, but what's going even faster is my 2 youngest sons are both incredible musicians. I mean, one's got a record where he's singing, writing all the words, and he's talking major trash on it, just like his dear old dad would have done years ago. And the other one has the production skills, and he's cutting these huge tracks. So I think both of the Parker boys you should look out for in the next coming year.
And when you say, if you don't mind, what are the ages of your boys?
17 and 19.
Okay, so let's step back. That's, we're talking Ghostbusters, that they weren't even around at the time. Growing up in the Parker household, right? Let me ask this question. Do the Parker boys, do they, as young kids, did they understand what Dad was doing? Dad wasn't getting up at 9 o'clock in the morning, coming back at 5 o'clock at night. How long did it take them to realize that Dad was different than the other fathers out there?
Well, I think they may have had inklings of it early on, but when they gave me a star on Hollywood Boulevard, that's when I saw even my sons were paying attention. I mean, my youngest son came right home, took a picture off the wall, and hung up the star that I'd given him. And they thought that was really special. They were like, "Hey, Dad's not an idiot after all. He actually did something."
When he did that, how did you not shed a tear if you didn't when your boy was putting that star up? I mean, this is our fruits of our labor. Share with us. What was that like when you were out there? I don't forget, but the mayor, Johnny, we've lost him, of course, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But when he presented you with the Walk of Fame, and exactly, tell the listeners out there, Ray, where are you on the Walk of Fame? Give us a location.
Well, first of all, I'm on the Walk of Fame, like right down the street from the Chinese Theater. I'm in great company. Okay. I got the Jeff Bridges and Bo Bridges right next to me. I got Kool and the Gang, Sam Cooke, George Benson, Herbie Hancock, the Thelonious Monk, all sitting right within it, and George Benson right within a few spaces of me. I'm right next to the Funk Brothers. Everybody's right there with me. And what's nice about the area that I'm in is the old Directors Guild. So it's a beautiful building. It's not. There's no hot dog stands or no hippie stuff going on where my star is. You know, so it's very, very. When you take pictures there, it's very pretty.
You know, and to this day, when you're walking across that, when you're walking on yourself, for the lack of a better word, do you ever catch yourself maybe doing a two-step and stopping and looking down and kind of smiling and laughing at all, or you just keep walking?
Are you kidding me? I go there too, do the two-step. I don't ever walk by there just by chance. I go there to see myself, and I go quite often.
Okay, and I forget there's a guy named Fran. Fran, remember me? I'm Jackie. How are you, brother? Hey, Fran, let me ask you this question. So we didn't qualify. I didn't give you a chance to qualify the answer because I'm a fan of Ray Parker. I'm not going to lie about that. But so when you went after Ray, I had asked you if there was any trepidation at all. Did you kind of say who's Fran and so on? How much of a sale? How much of information did you have to give him so he would jump on board with this great thing called the hired gun?
Zero information. Hey, Fran, let me help you with that. By the way, we have a club, which is why we're making this film. All of the people Fran named that are Titans, Scott Edwards, Sylvester Rivers, Jay Gray, and David Foster, we don't have to see each other for 10, 15 years. If one of us calls the other one, which I call, I said, Steve Lukather, I got a friend in so-and-so in Switzerland that wants to go so-and-so. He just takes care of it. It's just as simple as that. David Page called me one day and wanted to know, he couldn't make a certain thing in San Francisco. He wanted to know would I go up there and sing a song. Well, I don't know whether it's important or not, but if David called me to do it, that's the end of that already. So same thing with Jay Graydon. Jay Graydon said, hey, Ray, man, this is something you should do. I was like, stop already. I'm just coming back from Japan. I'm sleepy. I'd rather go to sleep than hear anybody pitch me for another hour or two on something I'm going to do anyway. So stop talking. We'll do it. And it's just pretty much like that.
You know, I love the fact, too, people don't know who Jay Graydon. The only way to work with Jay is if your schedule starts after 7 o'clock p.m. Because that man
he doesn't wake up
at that time, anyways.
Yeah, he doesn't wake up.
You dig. Hey guys, you know what? I'm gonna wrap this segment number 1 up because I've got a plethora of notes here I got to get through, and we got a lot of questions from the listeners around the world that want to get back to this. But when we get back, I want to get into the crux, the meat and potatoes of radio Titans of Radio, and find out what's going to be the timeline. We know what the timeline was from the inception of Hired Gun to when it was released. Let's talk about that also, too. And I want to know more, Ray, how much involvement you had this time. Did you have a bigger role in Titans of Radio? I keep screwing that up. I'm sorry, I'm dyslexic today. So when we get back on segment number 3 on Jackie's Groove, I'm going to pick it up with this iconic entertainer by the name of Ray Parker Jr., this okay director by the name of Fran Strine. So with that said, guys, put your thinking caps on when we get back. We're going to have some fun. We're going to promote. And it's all about what's going on right now in the business. So with that said, guys, Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network, connection to all things music. Don't go anywhere. Section 2, right around the corner. Stay tuned.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EnterTalkRadio.com.
Todd Zuckerman from the rock band Styx, and you're listening to my pal Jackie Bertoni on Jackie's Groove. Groove on, motherfuckers.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Guys, if that song doesn't take you back to yesterday, nothing does. Guys, Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Talk Radio Network, your connection to all things music. I am talking to an amazing director by the name of Fran Strine, and also Mr. Ray Parker Jr., whose voice you just heard coming up. Hey, Ray, I'm gonna patronize you a little bit more, brother. Tell me about the inspiration and the genesis of that song we just came in on the top of the set for. Share with the listeners.
Now, that song I actually wrote in the studio, and I had 5 or 6 girls sitting on the couch in front of the board. And I was working on a different song, and in between, while I was trying to organize something, the girls started to gossip, right? You know how girls are. They started male bashing and gossiping,
right.
You know. And they actually, darn near, wrote the whole song. They started talking about things ain't like it used to be, times have changed, and you know, yeah, he can do it. Well, shoot, I can get some, too. And they were saying all that kind of stuff, and I was like, you know, that's right around the time that Gloria Allred was just getting started and all that crazy stuff, Marvin Mitchelson. And I just thought, well, how interesting. A woman can do the same things a man can do, sort of. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget that when I presented the girls with my idea was a woman will fool around just like a man would, right? They hated that idea. They hated it. And so the change that made the whole song work is she can fool around, not she will. She can. She has the option to mess up if you mess up. And they love that. As soon as I changed it to she can fool around or she might fool around, the whole song changed. And the lyrics were just hysterical. I mean, all of the things they said, I just put in the song, and that was that. And by the way, that's probably the only song I ever wrote in my whole life that I actually thought was going to be a hit for sure.
When you say was going to be a hit, it was a hit. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. No, it was a hit, but I felt it would be a hit when I got it out.
Oh, okay. Now, any backlash from your words and flipping the script, so to speak, from the people out there for women-wise, like the Gloria Allreds and so on?
But only backlash I got is from all the guys. Thought I had traded them in, you know, for the girls. But all the girls, you know, it's funny. One girl bought me a TV set. I got presents from girls at radio stations, and it was the most added record. Yeah, it was the most added record because the program director, who was probably a guy, would look at his secretary, and the secretary said, "You are playing that A Woman Needs Love song, right?" Right, so you didn't have to ask him to add it. He either was playing it or he was making a statement like he didn't like it or something. So they were all forced into playing it.
And Ray, I'm curious as a musician itself, on Ghostbusters and on the other songs, the hits that you've written, was there a favorite studio in LA or abroad that you felt most at home with, that you wrote your songs and produced your hits? Do you want to share with her? Are they still in business? Let's put it that way.
Well, sure. First of all of my songs were done in my studios. I had before Jack and Jill, I had a studio in the house, which I did a bunch of the hits in. And then I moved to American Studio, which I built in 1979. And American Studios is still there today. And it's a working studio. They're cutting tons of hit records right now. And so all of my songs were cut in my studios.
So back in the day, Ray, when you're recording and so on, and we're all going through, the big Neve boards or the like, and or the Ampex reel, the 2-inch tape, as
Right.
opposed to what's being recorded right now, are you still loving the big sound, or are you also a slave to Pro Tools or Logic? Can you share with me on that?
Well, yeah, first of all, I am a slave to Pro Tools and Logic only because you can edit and do so many different things. And I think that's a big sound as well, if you know how to use it properly. So I've always been a gadget guy. When the first 24-track came out, or the big boards, I had those. And I just built a new studio next door to my house, which has Logic, Pro Tools, and all of the best of the analog gear and the digital gear to mix it up and give it a great sound. So I still have way too much equipment. I've just been an equipment junkie since birth.
Guilty. And Ray, let's go back for a second. Let's talk about musicians. The ones that you that were blessed to play with you when you hired them. Did Ray Parker Jr. do all of the hiring, or did Ray's quote unquote people hire the musicians? And the musicians that you hired, who were they, and why did you bring them in?
Okay, the musicians that I hired to go on tour?
Yes,
we're usually friends of mine that I would call up,
Okay.
And remember, I was a hired gun for most of my life, so most people were hiring me, and still are for that matter. But the musicians I hired would all be people that I knew personally. I don't think I ever had a manager or somebody else who would get me a musician.
All right. Well, let's turn around. Let's go back in the studio. When you hired, who were you bringing in? The J.R. Robinsons. Were you bringing in the Picaros and so on? Who were your favorite players that you hired to put your music onto tape?
Well, most of my music is just all me.
Really?
Every now and then there's an overdose. But when you listen to Ghostbusters or The Other Woman or Jack and Jill or the song you just played, Woman Needs Love, that's me playing the drums, the piano, the bass, the guitars, and just about everything.
And and going back to that situation now, being fast forward in the studio right now, are you still doing your own music, or are you apt to hire hired guns to play? Are you still doing it all yourself?
Well, it's a little bit of both. If the hired guns are around, then I'll work with them. And if nobody's around, it's 2 a.m, I'll end up doing it myself. And it was never a matter of ego, I can do it all myself. It was a matter in the old days when I was cutting Jack and Jill, no one was around, and I didn't want to be one of those kids that can't produce his demo tape for a year because he's waiting for something else to happen. I can't do this because I'm waiting on the engineer to mix it. I can't do this because I'm waiting on the drummer to play. A lot of kids, they never get their tape done because they're still waiting on something to happen.
Okay, and I want to go back for a second for the hired gun. Fran knows that I've watched the 90 minutes at least 6 times, and even after him sending me an actual hard copy. When you were asked and brought into the hired gun, Ray, did you know about Titans of Raydio at that time? Was there any buzz going on? Was Fran talking about that at all?
No.
Okay,
when I was
Fran,
brought in to do hired gun, I didn't know about hired gun at all.
Well, let's sit for a second here, Fran. What's going to differentiate the difference between Titans of Raydio and the hired gun? Give me the dichotomy difference between the two of them.
Yeah, everything's going to be different about this. I mean, I've already made a hired gun, so this is not a hired gun 2 or anything like that. This is going to be about this one era of music and how these group of guys shaped the sound of the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. And their contributions not only as the session guys, but look, a lot of these guys arranged the music, wrote the music, played on the songs, sometimes were the stars. A lot of them produced these songs, and the general public don't know about it. What's going to be cool about this project is we're going to get to go in the studio, and let's just say that Ray, a lot of people don't even know that Ray Parker Jr. wrote "You Make Me Feel Like Dancing" by Leo Sayer. So imagine if we re-recorded that song with Foster, Lukather, Ray, Jay, J.R. Robinson, or whoever we get in there, these musicians that shape these songs, and we bring in a contemporary artist like Adam Levine from Maroon 5 singing that. He'd kill that song. So we're also exposing a new generation to these songs. And I'm excited to see what happens. I think it's going to be really cool. And by the way, if you don't know this, if you ever get together in a room with these guys, we did a private screening at Ray's House of Hired Gun several months ago, and Lukather was there, Graydon was there, Sylvester Rivers, Scotty Edwards, and I got to tell you, man, we were standing in the foyer. We're all getting ready to leave, and a conversation struck up, and we were just standing there in the foyer of Ray's house for 3 hours. And for me, as a music fan and a fan of these guys, they were just telling these stories that I had to just keep picking my jaw up off the floor. Stuff that I didn't even know when I was interviewing in Hired Gun, and all of a sudden my wheels started spinning. And, I was like, well, I've got to tell more of these stories. The people have to know about this stuff. And another really interesting thing that I knew nothing about really was a lot of the arrangers and what they went through. That's a grueling, thankless job that these guys had. And, Ray talking about some of these guys really, threw up a red flag to me about these gentlemen, too, and how they need to be honored and talked about as well and recognized.
And friend, I want to say congratulations also, too, for being nominated for a Grammy for Best Music, man. Congratulations on that, brother. I mean, I can add that onto my resume that I'm part of this also now. I mean, I can, I'm really proud to say that we've been associated with 14 different interviews for Hall of Fame inductees. And so I can definitely add this on right now. And I'm definitely making sure my people put on the fact that I'm talking to Ray Parker Jr. Ray, let me ask you this question, brother. How much involvement did you or are you going to have in Titans of Radio? What is your role going to be, if you can tell me?
Well, I don't know what my role is going to be, but I'm going to be involved because I know all of those stories and I know all of the people. So I would think I'm knee-deep in this one. I mean, Fran's running. Hey, look, I'm going to be knee-deep in this.
And when you say stories, when you say stories, let me just jump in here. Stories that need to be told, stories that maybe we wouldn't want to hear from other people itself. Are there going to be telltale stuff on this? Is there going to be any shit thrown, if you will?
Oh, yeah. There's going to be plenty of shit going on. There's going to be a lot of editing, and can you say that?
Yeah, man. I mean, and Fran, what kind of a budget are we working on? Is it going to be as strong, or if not heavier, on the Titans of Radio versus Hired Gun?
Well, it depends on how much Ray's going to let us license his music for.
Okay, there you go.
Just kidding. Look, I spoke to Julie Glaze Houlihan, who's our music supervisor, yesterday, and we had about a 2-hour discussion about this. And there's several ways to make this show.
Sure.
Hired Gun was a 90-minute movie, and look, the guys we're talking about here again: Ray, Jay, Foster, Lukather, Aronoff, all these guys. I don't see how, as a director and a creative and for the art of this thing, how we could jam all these guys' stories into a 90-minute piece and do it justice. So we kicked around the idea of doing a docu-series, kind of like the Defiant Ones did for HBO, with Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre. And it was really successful and told the story the way it should have been told. And that's what it must happen with this film. I think it's broken up into 4 pieces. As far as budget goes,
right?
We're creating that right now. It's not cheap to do a film of this nature, especially if you want to. To me, quality is everything. Who wants to watch a crappy-looking documentary that looks like it was shot on VHS tape or whatnot? So to me, to tell the story properly, you got to have the best musicians, the best cinematographers, best sound guys. I'll be using, I'd say 90% of the same people I used on Hired Gun. I was very pleased with the way it looked. Obviously, we'll be mixing this at Skywalker Ranch, without a doubt.
I was going to ask you that.
And, yeah, there's no doubt. Yeah, one of the biggest compliments we get is the the sound mixing on the film itself on Hired Gun. And we're very fortunate, and I feel lucky and blessed to be able to have been able to do that at Skywalker. And by the way, when we're up here screening for the Grammy chapter in San Francisco, I was lucky enough to be able to take Ray on a private tour of Lucasfilms, Industrial and Light Magic. So, and in there they have one of the Slimers from the Ghostbusters.
I saw those pictures. I love that, man.
So, yeah, that was so much fun. You know, next time Ray comes up
to
Skywalker Ranch, and I'm going to take him to Skywalker and let him see that place, because this equally is mind-blowing.
Hey,
yeah, but just so that.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say one thing, Jack. Yeah, one thing, Jack. As far as funds go, we do have a Kickstarter page to help, accelerate and amplify this production to get it going quickly. And the people can find out about that at titansofradiofilm.com. It'll take them straight to the Kickstarter page, and there's so many cool perks that people can pledge for, from signed guitars to signed copies of the DVD to studio visits. I mean, could you imagine going into the studio and sitting with Jay Graydon as he's producing some of these re-recordings? And that's something he offered up, which I thought was super generous.
Yeah, and I know that feeling. I was going to ask Ray this. Ray, when you're walking through the studio with Fran, did it kind of get you, not melancholy, but a happiness when you saw the Slimer behind you and the pictures you guys put up on Facebook?
It's very exciting. We're sitting there in Lucasfilm, by the way. I mean, it's big time. This is everything. By the way, the tour was unbelievable. Just having a great time. And all of a sudden, after you go past all my favorites, Indiana Jones and all the rest of the stuff, then comes to some stuff that I was actually involved in. There's a big Slimer there and some other stuff. So, yeah, I got my picture of me with Slimer. I did a selfie.
I saw it. I mean, that was the thing about Facebook, and I love that because, I don't care how famous Ray Parker Jr. is, or, the Al Di Meolas, the Michael McDonalds, and everybody else that I've interviewed. But the bottom line is we are still fans of our, I don't know how to use the word mentors, but our associates in the industry. That never gets old. It's called respect. And when we come back on the third segment,
I like to think, let me tell you, I like to think that I'm the biggest groupie out there. It just so happens that I can play enough music where I can get in the front with the other guys to be a real groupie.
Yeah, man. And I like that because that's the honesty part about that. I want to kind of go back and forth. I'm juggling this because there's so much more to talk about Titans, and I want to find out exactly where your location is going to be. Is Brother Gavin still on this part with you, Fran? Is he going to be part of this? Okay, perfect. And just because I want to share more about going to the premiere out in my neck of the woods with Gavin, and how the sound that came out of Skywalker was ridiculous when you're listening to at a major theater. So, but that said, kids, don't go anywhere right now. I'm just I've got a plethora of notes that I want to go through here, and with Fran and with Ray. So when we come back on segment number 3 on Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio, your connection to all things music. I want to pick it up. I want to get more involved with Mr. Parker, and also with Mr. Strine. Guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on segment number 3 on Jackie's Groove. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time, or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, this is Al Di Meola, and you're listening to Jackie's Groove with Jackie Bertoni.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Person that you were the day before. You're no longer in Billy Joel's band. You're no longer going on tour. You're no longer playing at Madison Square Garden. Your identity is totally gone now. You're still the guy that played on the records, but you're not that person that you were the day before. And Doug had a very, very difficult time with that.
Hey. Ray and Fran. This is Florentino, the CEO of the company. Jackie's having some internet challenges at this point, and we're bringing him back on. So I just want to let you guys know I'm going to kind of resume on this interview at this particular point. And we just had a little segment from Liberty, I believe. When if I'm not mistaken, Liberty was the first one you brought on, right, Fran?
He was the first person I reached out to.
Yeah.
Like when we first got the green light to do Hired Gun, and got some funding. I was like, well, who's the first person I'm going to reach out to? And a friend of mine had told me about Liberty's story, and that's like the quintessential Hired Gun story. The rug pulled out from under you, and by an iconic artist as big as Billy Joel. And we interviewed Liberty in L.A. He was out there for some work or whatnot, and we did the interview, and he was still, all these years later, just really pissed off about the way he got handled. And was quite volatile in his interview, so much so that I couldn't use any of it. I was like, if I air this is attempted murder. It's like you get a lawsuit.
Yeah.
So I called Liberty back, a few months later. I'm like, look, man, looking back at all this interview, so I don't want to get you in trouble. I think that you may have been a little pissed off that day or something rubbed you the wrong way. He goes, yeah. He goes, I was angry. He goes, I have been seeing a life coach, and I've calmed down a little bit. So if you're willing to come out to Brooklyn and re-interview me, I'm down. So we went out there for about a week, and it was great. So what you see in the movie is the calmer version of Liberty DeVito. Is still pretty fired up in some of those segments. But he's a great guy. I love Lib, and he's doing well now these days. So I'm happy for him.
Yeah, I know. I watched the movie obviously as well, and it was interesting because you'd like to think Billy Joel. I'm a huge fan, but sometimes you realize that the character doesn't necessarily meet the stature. And I haven't met Billy, and I don't know if I ever will. But I know that Russell wasn't always having the easiest challenges. Had a challenging time without that as well, and I think that's kind of. It's kind of like you said. That's the prototypical story of things. It's tough to be a hired gun because once you've done that job, you've already worked yourself out of a job, and you got to go out and find a new one. And when you're like Liberty, who thought you had your gig, you had your lifetime gig with your brother and everything, it becomes pretty disheartening. And that's one of the reasons why we started this network is to spotlight, and that's why I think we had a kinship with all this stuff, Fran. Is that we really seen talent needed to be showcased, and and like what you've done with Ray, I thought it was amazing, the transition from being the hired gun to being the the recording artist to being the huge, superstar that Ray has become, but starting off in those, like Ray was saying earlier, kind of the humble position, just saying, "Hey, look, I'm happy to be on tour. I'm happy to make some scratch doing this." So,
right. Well, what's funny is every time we do, Ray's really accompanied me literally around the planet showing Hired Gun. And one of the first questions people ask him was like, do you have any advice for a hired gun? And Ray's answer was always, don't always be a hired gun. Start off as one, but don't just strive to only be in the background. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like.
I think there's some major players. It would have been nice to get Glenn, God rest his soul, before he passed, to talk about his transition from being part of the quote unquote wrecking crew on to being the megastar he was. And I think that's kind of where this new movie is going, right? Is that not the case?
Yeah, look, the Wrecking Crew's been made, so that's about the era before Ray and all these guys. Yeah. Then there was Standing in the Shadows of Motown.
Yeah.
20 Feet from Stardom, about the backup singers. There's been, Muscle Shoals,
Yeah.
But there's never been a movie that I can recall that's been made of this era, this gold. It's like hit after hit. I can't even name them all.
Yeah, I really
that has been done yet. So.
I feel you on that, because that's the era that I was a teenager, just starting in the business myself. And, right. I think that was, you had the megastars like Michael and Lionel and Prince and obviously Ray and that it's definitely a time where people's lives, people's soundtracks were created during that time. A lot of babies were created, especially on Ray's music. So,
oh yeah,
yeah, definitely. So, Ray, with that said, what kind of message are you looking at? It looks like we lost Ray. Wow, we're losing a few folks. He's calling back here, Fran. I'm going to go back to you here. Yeah, just for some reason the internet's going pretty wacky today. Here we go. So
come back.
Hey Ray, I was just asking you, with the new movie that's going to be coming out, what are some of the things that without giving away anything? Obviously, we don't want to have any spoiler alerts, but what are you looking forward to communicating in this new movie, Titans of Raydio?
Well, I'm looking forward to just sharing the experiences that it takes to be a real musician, and a lot of the stories that the people, in TV land don't know. Getting hired, getting fired, the relationship between one musician to another, what it takes to become that person and play on the records and play on the tours and do the other stuff, and what it takes to become your own guy, and what it's like to not be able to take a vacation because you're scared you're going to miss the call from Stevie Wonder when he wants to go on tour. And so you don't go on any vacation. You just sit at home every day, all day. There's just so many different aspects and stories and things that people never really thought about, which I think would be most interesting. I think everybody will watch this and say, well, I didn't really think about that. I thought they were just out partying and having a good time.
Yeah. And, for you, Fran, you're touching on all of the elements of that era. What are you hoping people will take away from this the new movie? Again, without giving any spoiler alerts away, because I learned so much about the industry watching Hired Guns, and So, what would you like ultimately these people to take away from this new movie?
Well, this we're going to get in depth into some of the guys' lives, and what they'll take away from it is a new experience. I think they'll learn things that they didn't know happened, or how they happened, or would have happened, and they'll see the different personalities of all the people, and just come home with a different idea of what records are about and the music that they loved about and the history of it.
And
Fran, go ahead.
Yeah, echoing on what Ray just said right there. all that plus, introducing a whole new generation or several generations to these timeless songs, doing these re-records, and also the brotherhood these guys have, man. If you ever got in a room with these guys, I mean, we went to dinner the other night after the LA screening last week with, went at a nice steak or whatever with Jay and Ray, and it was like, how long have you guys known each other for 45 years, right? Like
at least 40 years.
These guys are, Yeah, these guys
45
are
years,
best
you're right.
friends. They're like brothers. You know what I mean? And like Jay said it best, man. He goes, I don't even see color. You know what I mean? It's like these guys are like my brothers. Black, white, ain't whatever. It's like, you know, and to me that story is so cool, man, because literally they can just pick up, like Ray said, not talk for 5, 6, 10 years and pick up like they just talked yesterday, you know? And in any workplace, I mean, I think that's important that you really love the people you work with. It just makes it a much more pleasant experience, like Pink, you know? I just saw a post today that her band put up, you know, her band was like, I think it was a drummer, Mark Schulman, put up a post that just did Saturday Night Live. He was just saying how much he loves his fellow musicians in the band and loved the boss, you know, like incredible experiences. So, you know, we're hoping the viewers are going to see, are these experiences through the eyes of these guys and their music that they helped create over the years.
Yeah.
And gentlemen, I'm going to jump in. I'm back, guys.
Okay,
I do
there we go,
apologize.
Jackie.
I felt like I've been away from Millennial. Thank God for the internet. So for the lack of a better word.
All right, I'm going to pass it back to Jackie.
Yeah, but I'm going to Tino, don't go yet. Bring me up to snuff. Where did I miss out in the last 5 minutes?
We've discovered the meaning of life and the universe as it is, and we've given it out. Nobody needs to listen to anything else after that, man.
Okay, we're done. Thank you guys for joining Jackie's group.
Then the world is flat.
Yeah, tell me about it. Hey, Ray. You know, I wanted to go back. I started to ask this question. I left myself a note here. You talked about it never gets old, you know, to be around the Slimers and so on. And I have to agree with you 1,000% because you mentioned Jay Graydon. I had the pleasure of working at one of the greatest studios, Jay Whiting Recording, in Santa Monica. I'm sure your feet have passed through those halls. And when you're at these great rooms, like, you know, me working all the years with Brian Wilson at Capitol and on Ocean Way and so on, and when you're in the greatness, even though there's no music being played at the wee hours, you can hear the music squeezing through the walls, the hits that were made and so on and so forth. I want to know, question for you, Ray, and I mean, you've been blessed in your career, but think about it for a second. Is there a song that is on the radio worldwide? Like you said in The Hired Gun, it's more important for you to be associated with the song that's known all around the world. It doesn't necessarily have to be number one. I'm paraphrasing. But is there a song that Ray Parker loves that you wished you wrote?
Or that I wished I wrote? Yeah, all the ones that Paul McCartney wrote, I wish I wrote.
Okay.
and all the ones that Holland, how about this? All the ones that Holland wrote, I wish I wrote. And all the ones that Burt Bacharach wrote, I wish I wrote. Those are my three writers. They write some incredible songs.
And then Fran, let me jump in here for a second. Fran, what makes you a fan of Ray Parker Jr.?
Man, you know, first of all, it's great music and everything else. But, you know, one of the great things about doing Hired Gun is I've become friends with all these guys. And I consider Ray a friend now, man. Like I said, we've traveled all over the place. I can't tell you how many pounds I've gained from eating all the good food with him and, like, just sharing the laughs and whatnot.
Don't blame Ray. Don't blame Ray for that, man.
Yeah. Right. No, but it's just been such a cool experience, man. I mean, I don't often get starstruck or anything like that, except for a couple of times in my career. But, you know, set aside everything else, and I see the father that he is. You know, we were lucky enough to do a screening at Belmont where his son goes to school. And, you know, Gibson, just such a great kid, you know. And I was able to go into the studio, and Ray showed me a music video that he made for his kids. And it was them performing a song that he had written. And so cool, man, you know. And then Jay Graydon, you know, wonderful human being, super great guy. Kenny Aronoff, powerful.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so cool, you know, to be able to stand next to these guys and call them friends now, you know, and work colleagues. You know, we're getting ready to go shoulder to shoulder on this Times Radio thing, and we're going to knock this thing out pretty quick. You know, Hired Gun took quite a while because we had to scour all the dark places in the world for interviews and whatnot. And with Times of Radio, we already know what we're gonna film. We already know the songs we're going to try to clear and do the re-records for. So it'll be definitely expedited a lot quicker than Hired Gun. No doubt.
And friend, I want to ask you a question, friend, and I don't mean to be. I'm going to step on eggshells here, But I really hope to God that you're not faced with another quote-unquote Billy Joel in this new production. You know what I mean by that, about giving you the thumbs up and then seeing it and then turning his back on the situation. Now that you've got your feet wet, your whole body soaked with Hired Gun, do you feel going into Titans is going to be, like you said, you want to make it shorter? You mean not so much the length, the duration of the film, but you want to get in and get out quickly. Is there a timeline from when you guys start to roll versus time that'll be done and put out on the interweb, if you will, and or for sale?
Yeah. I can't give you a definitive timeline, but I would definitely want to start shooting and doing, some pre-production, some early stuff in December at some point. And so
I'm gonna start my diet right now. Then.
Yeah, me and you both gonna be carrying around a big old camera. And one of the
got to be camera ready, guys.
And look, if anybody knows Jay Gray, needs an audio file, so he's gonna make this thing sound so good with the stuff he's gonna be re-recording. And for myself, we're gonna shoot a majority of this on actual film, which will be my first time working with film. So I'm so excited about that. Yeah, and I think it's going to really just match with the story. Just the beautiful tones of film and these great stories.
Hey, Fran, would you educate me real quick, Fran? When you talk about shooting on film, here's my naivete right here. I don't know about this, but will you be bringing out the Panavision cameras, or what will accommodate in the new hardware that will take care of a film, if you will?
Right. Well, a lot of that will be up to our DP, but
okay.
I don't know if we'll be shooting with a Panavision camera, probably like an Arri or something like that. Most likely 16 millimeter. 35 is a little too clean. And I think the 35 or 16 millimeter will work perfect for this story. It's got that kind of slight grain to it, a little grittier, and not all of it will be shot on film, but a good majority of it will. Film's very expensive to shoot with.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Ray, on a scale of 1 to 10, Ray, how excited are you about this to be involved on this new Titans?
Oh, I'm a 10. Whenever I get to see me on a big screen, that's a 10.
Dig it. I love it, man. I love it. I want to talk more about this. Again, I'm sorry that I missed the first part of this interview, guys, but I want to talk more about I don't want to talk about Jay anymore because, we'll get back to him eventually, and I'm saying that with tongue in cheek. But I want to find out how much you're going to allow Mr. Parker behind the board, Fran. You got to siphon his genius behind the board. I want to find out how much of his genius you're going to extract from him, or how much he's going to be willing to give you on this project. Don't answer that now, but I want to find.
I can answer that. We ain't going to talk about Jay anymore. But Jay's going to do his songs. I'm probably going to do my songs. Jay ain't going to sit behind the board and do my songs.
Right.
Well, I want to. But
I love Jay, but he's going to sit behind the songs, do his songs, and I'm going to do my songs. Because Jay won't let me eat fried chicken and then play his guitar. He's got to.
You dig?
He's going to brush it off.
And we don't want to be talking about Jay using the bathroom and so on and so forth. That's another story that we can talk about.
Exactly. Yeah.
So with that said, guys, we're going to be stepping out of segment number 3 into segment number 4. Hopefully, no more electronic glitches on my side, but I'm having a blast, guys. I'm getting Education 101 when it comes to stars like this. Fran, not so much. Ray Parker Jr., thumbs up, brother. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back on segment number 4. My name is Jackie Bertoni. This is Jackie's Groove. Watch Band Talk Radio. You're all connected to all things music. Guys, don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time, or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on InnerTalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, this is Al Di Meola, and you're listening to Jackie's Groove with Jackie Bertoni.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Let me tell you guys, I'm afraid of no ghosts, but I'm afraid of the gentleman that I have on my line right now because they're both crazy. They're talking about gentlemen that know each other for a short time, but people that you feel like you've known for a long time. This is Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by InnerTalk Radio Network, your connection to all things music. Hey, guys, real quick, when you can't listen to Jackie's Groove or our other shows on our network, go to iTunes or go to Google and download our free and easy-to-use application. 2 words, InnerTalk first, Radio second, take Jackie's Groove, and the plethora of other shows we have with you on the road. And you guys, if you get it, obviously, if you're listening to it now, this is a live recording. But when you miss this, you definitely want to put this into your archive. This is a great, man. So with that said, let's go back. Hey, Ray, you know what's one thing I want to talk about? Another one of my groups that I have. I even have an 8-track on this. I hate to say it. But let's talk about Raydio. I miss that whole vibe. Let's talk about Raydio, man. I know, obviously, the name Ray, R-A-Y-D-I-O. So the playoff on words. Who was in that band? Who was in Raydio?
All of my friends from Detroit, plus one member, Jerry Knight, is from L.A. But, Arnell Carmichael, Larry, Talbert, most of those guys were just my friends growing up in Detroit.
And Ray, can I ask you a question also, too? Because I'm an orphan. I've lost my mom and dad, and I just lost my father-in-law. Is mom and dad still with us?
No. My parents have passed now. It's been 24 years.
My mom, I just celebrated 25 years. My mom passed away on October the 15th, so that was 25 years from Mama. And I asked that question, brother, is that they were around long enough to see their baby boy successful. How did that feel?
The first house I bought was a house for my parents.
God bless, man. God bless. When Mama, I mean, obviously she brought you into this world. Like my mom always said, I brought you into the world, take you out like I brought you into it with nothing. But the fact of the matter is, you could be Ray Parker Jr. all over the world, but you're still going to be Ray to Mama. And that's, the situation. But how did it feel when you were out there, when you were accepting the awards, when you had your walk of fame and so on and so forth? How was it to look in Mama's eyes and see that glow? What'd that do to your heart?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't have a star back then. But my parents were around to see me have all the hit record success, including Ghostbusters and winning the Grammys and Oscar nominations, British Oscar, Golden Globe, all that stuff. So they were around for a lot of stuff. I wish they could have been around to see me get the star too, but they got
still
the
are,
gist
man.
of it.
Hey, Ray, do me a favor and be honest with me. In your beautiful home, where are those awards? Is there a special room for that, or are they in a box in a closet somewhere?
Well, a couple of them are in the living room, and all of the gold records, they're in a closet in a box. I have not displayed them yet. My kids think they're barbaric. They think they're archaic.
Do they really? Yeah.
And there's a lot of them. I can't figure out which one should I hang, which one should I not hang. So they're all sitting in storage. But I now built a new room a new house next door. And in the basement, I was thinking I'm going to put them all over the walls in the basement.
Do it, baby. You know, I say that because years ago, this is back in 1981, talking about years ago, I happened to be hanging out with this gentleman by the name of Al McKay, and I know Al is your friend also. And his home off of Franklin, I walked into this mansion. And for those who don't know who Al McKay is, left-handed guitarist, co-founding member of Earth, Wind & Fire. When I walked into his house, I looked over to the left, Ray, and on this mantle was every Grammy/American Music Award, MTV, and well, there wasn't anything MTV back then, but all these awards. And I walked into the bathroom, and there was platinum albums from the wall to the ceiling.
Yeah,
and when I walked,
how did you see the house? You got so many.
Yeah, exactly. So when I walked out, I walked out and I looked at Al. I had this gleam in my eyes, and Al goes, "Too much?" And I said, "Hey, no, not a fucking chance, man." Yeah, but just that was the whole vibe, and these are things that will always stick in my mind. So, and let's go back to Titans for a quick second here. We're starting out. This is all starting, and I asked you about the fact about how much work will you be involved in. I don't mean the fact about your music or Jay's music. Will you be part of any of the pre, during, and post-production of Titans? Go ahead and answer that, both of you.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a Fran question.
Yeah, for Ray. Yeah, for Ray, we got to hop on a call later this week. Like I said, we were on a call with, or I was on a call yesterday with Julie Glaze-Houlihan, our music supervisor, who, by the way, you know, one of her movies just won an Oscar last year. She was a music supervisor and clearance person for O.J. Made in America, and also for the Wrecking Crew, where she had to clear 120 some odd songs. It was crazy.
Right.
Anyway, you know, Ray and I have to pick out what songs he wants to re-record and who we want to re-record them to start reaching out to some of these artists. So, I mean, there's a lot of, we're just now you know, digging the hole for this project. So,
I'm sitting here
I've got my wish list of.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm sitting with my mouth on the ground right. So, Ray, you guys are recording your hits?
Yeah, we're going to get other people to sing it.
Oh, how
mix
cool
it up.
is
Maybe
that
get some
going
young
to be?
guys to do it. You know?
Are we going to stay? Are we going to stay verbatim?
No. I mean, I think we go. I mean, imagine. You know, a lot of people probably don't know this, but Ray wrote "You've Got the Love" by Shaka Khan and Rufus. How old were you? 18, 19 years old at the time.
Yeah.
So imagine re-recording "You Got the Love," that funky guitar part, which I still can't wrap my head around how 18 or 19-year-old kid comes up with a funky look like that. It just still blows my mind. But imagine re-recording that and having, I don't know, Pink come in and sing it, or Lady Gaga, or Alicia Keys, or Mary J. Blige.
That, you know,
yeah.
And I'm going to think, Ray, let me go back real quick, Ray. So when you go back in the studio and you're going to hire a said voice that is a famous voice and so on, will you be playing the music again yourself? Will you be playing the instruments?
Well, I'm going to play my guitar, yeah.
Well, of course that. But are you going to employ studio cats to play your music to make it? And will this music when it's
probably play it live. Yeah.
Now this re-recording of your hits is not just for Titans. It's going to be for worldwide release. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, hopefully.
You know, that's something we did touch upon too. You know, a lot of these bigger artists will probably want to, you know, a cut of something, and they're not going to come in and do it for free. And I wouldn't expect anybody to. I don't expect anybody to ever work for free. But I got to tell you this too. I don't know if Ray told you about his home studio yet, which is absolutely gorgeous. It's ridiculous. It's not a home studio. It's another house, like next to his house. So yeah, I mean, it's got its own, you know, its own door to go into, and like, it is beautiful, man. The first thing you see when you walk in is a wall of guitars. And by the way, there's a black Les Paul up there. And I was like, man, that's beautiful. Where'd you get that? And he's like, oh, Stevie Wonder got me that for my 19th birthday. And it's in mint condition, just sitting there in this box, you know. It's just like, good grief.
Yeah, and you know, you opened a can of worms right there, and I'm gonna kind of keep it 3/4 open, and I want you to stop me if I shouldn't. I should kind of qualify this before we went on the air. But there's a great thing called Carpool Karaoke by James Corden. And there's one scene where James is sitting in the passenger side and he's freaking out because the traffic in L.A. is unbearable, and he's going to be late getting to CBS. So as he's fetching in this passenger seat, the door opens up, driver door, and in jumps Mr. Stevie Wonder. Audience is hysterical because Stevie goes, "Don't worry, I'll get you there quicker than you can get yourself there." Now, Ray, I'm going to go back. I'm going to ask permission. I'm kind of going to go cryptic on this. But can we share that story that people may or may not know about you, Ollie, and Stevie?
Well, which one?
where Mr. Wonder wanted to be taught how to drive?
Oh yeah, that was me and him for sure.
Okay.
He wants to drive, and if you don't let him drive, you get $100 fine.
Well, share with the audience. I mean, were you his GPS? Obviously, you had to be his GPS. How was that, and what drug were you on, man?
Well, first of all, there's no GPS back then, and there's no drugs back then. There's simply he wants to drive, and since he can't see, and there's only the two of y'all in the car, I take him to an abandoned parking lot.
Okay.
And then we pretend there's red lights and traffic and all that right there.
How do you do?
And yell and scream. But sometimes he drive on the street, though.
I had to bring that up, man, because I got to tell you, I laughed my ass off when Florentino told me about that. I wanted to make sure I wasn't stepping on any nuts there when it came to the story in general.
He likes to drive. He does.
All right, man. He's this. I mean, his whole band are my dear friends of mine. So that is my bucket list, is to work with Stevie. And speaking of bucket list, Ray, can I pry on you for a second, Ray? I mean, everything you've done.
This band is friend of yours. You know, Nathan Watts is my best friend. I've been knowing him longer than anybody on the planet.
Big Nate is. Let me just tell you, Ray. You know Nate, how visual he is, and with that pork by hat. We were at NAMM.
Yeah, that big
yes,
boy.
man. We were at NAMM a couple years ago, and Stevie, we were at the Hilton, and of course the big entourage came in, and they were going to block off an whole area at this restaurant in the corner of the Hilton, and then all of a sudden a friend of mine goes, "Jackie, Nate's here." So I went to go over there, and there's a little 5'2" security guard bouncer for Stevie, and he puts his hand on me and says, "You're not allowed in here." So I said, "Oh, I don't mean to step." He goes, "Turn around and do an about face," I mean, just like that. So I walked away. I was in the boys' room, and I was just finishing washing my hands, and Mr. Watts comes and gives me this big bear hug that only you would know if you've been bear hugged by this man. So I explained to him that I was denied access to say hi to you and the band and so on. He walked out holding my hand, and he walked out to this little security guard and goes, "Never, ever deny my friend Jackie to walk in." Because I had the pleasure of working with this great reggae band called Third World, and a song that Stevie wrote and played on, one of their big hits called Traja Love. And so my legacy is I never played with Stevie's band, but Stevie played with us in Third World, and if it was the last time I played music, that was my bucket list. So now with bucket list, Ray, be honest with me, is there a bucket list of living artists today that you really want to work with?
Yeah, I never played with Paul McCartney.
Why do you want to work with the man?
Because he's my hero.
Okay.
I mean, he's written probably the best songs of anybody I can think of. That's why I said he's up there with Holland, Doja Holland. I think Can't Hurry Love. I mean, come on.
Right.
Holland, Doja Holland, Burt Bacharach. Those guys wrote some songs.
You know, I'm getting very close to bringing. I'm interviewing Robbie McNeil, which is Paul's guitarist for the past 30 years, and you know, I've got a lot of my friends that are in his band. I agree with you, man, because again, working with Brian Wilson all these years, and that's so parallel to Paul McCartney. Just the genius of him on self. So let's get back. Let's get back into Titans. But Ray, on your new music, how new is your music? How much does it fall into the vein of today's groove? Are you going to stay suit with
my new music has inklings of today's groove, but my stuff is really going to be early 80s. I want it to sound more like early 80s. You know, I'm not one of these young teenagers. I don't want to sound like one of the young teenagers.
Of course not.
And my audiences are my people, so they want to hear some songs, some lyrics, and some music. And I'll leave the rest of that stuff up to my kids to do.
To carry on the legacy. Yeah, you know, and when you're performing live, do you love the fact that you're looking out in the audience, Ray, and you're seeing people our age, their kids, and their kids' kids. Has your music transcended 3 generations so far?
Exactly. So first of all, Ghostbusters transcends to everything. So that's my time to the 5-year-olds. I mean, I take pictures with 6, 7-year-olds all the time, and they love the song. And people tell me, that old man right there wrote that Ghostbusters song. They look at me like they have a funny look on their face, like, really, Daddy? Yeah. Then I take a picture with them. They love me, give me hugs and kisses on the cheek. It's wonderful.
Ray, did you get a chance to hang out a lot on the set during the filming of Ghostbusters?
Absolutely not. The whole film was done before anybody called me. And I came in at the last minute and wrote the song. They didn't have a song.
Okay, so now when they didn't have the song, when they brought it to you, from the time they dialed you up and told you what the concept was, when you put your first pen to paper, how soon did that song, was it a long time to write that song, or was it a quick turnaround?
I only had 3 days.
Jesus, God, really?
Yeah, 3 days or I don't get paid. So that was it. Just like a kid is doing his homework over the weekend. Got to get it done before Monday.
Naive question. Were you happy the way it turned out?
Loved the way it turned out. I mean, I was a little scared at first because they wanted me to do a video singing to a ghost, but, it worked out great. It was actually me who came up with the idea. Well, I guess if we're doing it with the Saturday Night Live guys, it can't be too bad. It'll just be funny. Then
of course,
Ivan Reitman expanded on that and put everybody in.
Yeah, man. That is a situation where now, since you are known for probably the most iconic theme songs, has other studios brought to you that same idea that we want you to write a song for this movie? Is that been brought to the forefront?
Nobody else.
Really?
Nobody else asked me to write a song for them.
Is it because the old good-looking girl in high school, nobody wants to walk up to her, ask her for a date because she figures that she's already got a date? Are they intimidated coming up to you?
It could be. I have no idea, but nobody else asked me to do it. Which I think is really interesting.
Do you care?
No, not really. I guess if I wanted to really pursue it, I could have went out and begged them. But no, not really. I don't think I really thought about it before.
And until somebody like me brings it up and stirs the shit right there.
But, exactly.
We want to find that situation out because, the question is, does Ray Parker Jr. have another Ghostbusters in his brain? And, it's a question.
No one's dragged it out yet, but you got to know it's there. I mean,
are you afraid of that? And don't answer that question yet because we're getting ready to get out of 4 into 5, and I don't want to use the word afraid. But the fact of the matter is, how do you trump the success? How did Michael Jackson trump Thriller?
Not only am I not afraid of it, I never tried to trump the success because I never tried to have the success in the first place. My thing for music is I just love music, so I always do the best that I'm going to do musically in any situation, and then it just falls wherever it lies. So it's not like I ever wrote a song saying, "Oh wow, this is going to be a big smash." This one in particular, I think they're all going to be good, or else I wouldn't have finished them, or I wouldn't have got them done. So it's not like I'm trying to outdo that one, or I didn't know I was going to have that one. I didn't know I was outdoing the other woman or one of the other ones.
Right.
So because I don't know that in the first place. Yeah.
I'm going to jump in there, Ray. Hold that thought. We're going to commercial right now. Guys, don't go anywhere. Okay. I'm having a blast here, man. Ray Parker Jr., Fran Strine. The new documentary/film coming out soon called Titans of Radio. Guys, don't go anywhere. I'm looking at this situation. Segment number 5 coming around the corner. Jackie Bertoni, Jackie Drew, Inner Talk Radio Network, Fran Strine, Ray Parker Jr. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Inner Talk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EnterTalkRadio.com.
Todd Zuckerman from the rock band Styx, and you're listening to my pal Jackie Bertoni on Jackie's Groove. Groove on, motherfuckers.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
I didn't really start playing metal or rock until I became part of Quiet Riot. I'm talking about the Quiet Riot version with Randy Rhoads, which I was a member of in the 70s. That version of Quiet Riot was more of a glam rock band. The music scene at the time was very much centric on new wave and punk. And bands like Quiet Riot, we were considered dinosaurs. There was word around town that the singer from Black Sabbath was looking for new musicians, to put a band together. So I was trying to get a hold of anybody. Meanwhile, Ozzy's management, his people, were trying to get a hold of Randy.
You guys, that's the voice of my dear friend, amazing rock bassist Rudy Sarzo. And that's from The Hired Gun. And who I'm talking to right now is the director of The Hired Gun, Mr. Fran Strine, and also Mr. Ray Parker Jr. on their new movie coming up called The Titans of Raydio. Hey, you know what? When I took a break on that, guys, Ray, I wanted to ask you a question going back, if I may. We talked about the situation. I know I can only speak on a lower level, but when you come out of high school at the age of 19 and you join the Tower of Power, like I did,
No. Stevie Wonder, no Tower of Power.
No, I'm talking about myself. I joined.
Okay.
Yeah, I was Towers percussionist from 79 through 81. And then when I stepped out of that realm, but I didn't step out of it, the budget ran out, so the first one to go is percussion. But the fact of the matter is, when I came out of that school of TOP, who is celebrating 50 years next year in this industry, people didn't want to come up to hire me because they figured since I came out of Tower of Power, nothing was going to equal that situation. And so they put me up on the pedestal, and I don't give a shit. I'll play at a small club. I don't care to this day as long as I'm playing music. So when I broke on the last segment, you being Ray Parker Jr., you being the quintessential man that wrote one of the biggest, most familiar songs in the history of movies, Ghostbusters, I asked you and to the listeners out there if people were afraid to come up to you, A, because they didn't think you'd do their movie, B, the fact they couldn't afford you because of the accolades that you garnered from Ghostbusters. What do you feel? I mean, do you want to say something right now to the listeners worldwide that you're a gun for hire?
Well, first of all, I was a gun for hire, but nobody called me to do a film after that, believe it or not. It just wasn't, I wasn't the guy to call to do a film. I have no idea why. Maybe they thought I was lucky, and maybe they thought, I don't know what they thought. Maybe they thought I cost too much money, but nobody really called me to do their films. It wasn't like I was, oh boy, look what he did. Let's everybody call him. And I had 50 phone calls to do more films. I guess in Hollywood, that's just how it works.
And it's a travesty because I'm looking on my wall right now. I'm blessed to look at platinum albums of the groups that I've worked with over the years. And I'm speaking of Wilson Phillips, Brian Wilson's daughter, John.
Sure. Great.
Okay. So, their first self-entitled album called Wilson Phillips, it was an amazing album. We're proud to be part of it. and the fact that it sold almost 15 million copies worldwide, and it's still selling.
Right.
So they followed up the year following, called Shadows in Light by Wilson Phillips. It only sold 3 million copies, but it was considered a failure. And and so on. The same with Michael Jackson. So I asked you that question, Ray, with the hits that you were blessed to produce and get out on the marketplace. Now that records aren't selling per se, there's really no way to garner album sales. How is it that we, in our advanced age, how are we monitoring? And again, forget about licensing, forget about owning the music. How does Ray Parker Jr., if you want to share with the listeners out there, the younger set, the millennials, how do you monetize your music right now without selling huge volumes of albums? Would you share with us?
Well, first of all, all of my monetizing is licensing, commercials, products, and stuff like that. Licensing, huge for me. I mean, big business every year on all the songs. There's no record sales per se, like people are going to the store buying a physical record. But there's airplay money because it's all over the radio all the time. So that always keeps going. Everybody's playing your music. But mostly it's the licensing of different things. Everybody has really fallen in love with this late 60s, 70s, and early 80s. I think I'm going to say late 60s to early 80s is the sweet, mid-80s, mid-60s to mid-80s is the sweet point. And when people make a film, they want to capture that era, and they play all of the music. So we're licensing like crazy. And forget it, Ghostbusters is obviously my number one licensing vehicle because that just takes everybody back to that time. And let's not forget,
absolutely,
Ghostbusters at Halloween time is a no-brainer, right?
To this day?
To this day, it's the number one Halloween song. If you were going to have a party and you were going to play some Halloween songs, you got Ghostbusters. After that, you probably go Thriller. Then you got Monster Mash and Werewolf of London, and those are the four. You're gonna have those four. If you're putting together a collection, those are the first four you're gonna have.
And Ray, let me ask you this question: for being long in the tooth like I am, if you will, and Jay's still a kid, and Steve and so on and so forth. But I'm making a joke out of that. The reason why I asked that question is that with the industry back in the day when we were able to monetize based upon licensing and so on and so forth, when you are, and I just did a great interview 3 weeks ago with Lee Loughnane. He's the founding member of Chicago, and they celebrated 50 years this year. And I asked Lee, the first thing I asked him, he's a friend of mine, but I had to ask him on the radio. I said, Lee, congratulations on 50 years. Congratulations on 36 albums, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Why? And Ray, his response to me was, because we love playing music. So let me throw that question to you. Okay, so let me ask the question now. 2017, Ray Parker Jr., why?
Because I love playing music. I go out all the time. I go on tour. I just finished Boss Skaggs' new album, which I'm not going to get rich playing guitar on Boss Skaggs' album. I play it because I love the music. I love playing music. Right? I did Leanne Rimes' new Christmas album and her studio album. I mean, I just love playing music. And George Clinton made a phrase that I'll never forget. Funk is its own reward. And it really, really means is music is its own reward. You don't need any money. You don't need anybody telling you how great you are. You don't need anything. It's its own reward. You can I can sit in a room and learn a new song on my acoustic guitar and be 100% totally passive and happy. Right? And
Ray?
What's interesting about the music business, we only make money to keep playing music.
Let me ask this question. You've got two beautiful boys. You've got a beautiful surrounding family and everything else.
How about four beautiful boys?
Okay, with that said, let me ask you this question. What motivates Ray Parker Jr. to sit down, cross his leg with his acoustic guitar or piano? What motivates you to write music?
I just love sitting down playing the acoustic guitar and playing my guitar. I just love it. How about this? You're talking about writing music. Even if I'm not writing music, I like to just play a Paul McCartney song on my guitar and just maybe I'll play that for 4 hours.
Are you a fan? I've asked this question because it's a friend of mine in the studio. You talk about Paul McCartney. Al Di Meola released an album 2 years ago. It's a tribute to the Beatles. It's Abbey Road. It's all of the songs that the Beatles made famous, but on acoustic guitar. Would you ever think of doing something like that? Would you ever think of paying homage to Paul and the Beatles and doing something? Not that this is a setup.
Now you just made me miserable. I didn't know anybody else had already done it.
Oh, yeah, brother.
Now I got to go get his album and see what he does, so I make sure I do something different. But yeah, I got
man. I mean,
more songs that I already did acoustic, my own acoustic arrangements of.
I'll make sure I get that copy to you. We'll figure it out. We'll get it through you through a digital download. It's beautiful. In fact, he's actually, spoiler alert, he's actually going in 2018 to do some work and do a tribute to Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys acoustically. Mm-hmm. And so,
there's always somebody beating me.
Always,
I got acoustic
always.
stuff I'm going to play that's going to blow mind-blowing acoustic guitar stuff. I mean, people really don't know I can play. And it's going to be pretty amazing, a lot of the stuff. I'm going to make a whole album in the new studio doing that.
Okay, and Fran, let me ask you a question. You got Ray Parker. He's redoing his music, re-recording it with new voices, instrumentation, and so on. I don't want to sound stupid, but the question is, people listening out there, is it going to be hard to license this music from Ray, even though he's part of this film?
Ray's going to be more cooperative. The bigger my face is, and more of my screen time I get.
The more screen time I give Ray, the easier he's going to make it for me. No, look, like I said, if we do this episodically, which is where we're leaning on, each one of these guys will get a full hour to 70-minute show. Because like I said, there's no way to tell these guys stories in a 90-minute piece. It's just impossible to do. It can't be done. Therefore, we're going to give each one of these guys their own episode. And, they'll be bouncing back and forth. Like, of course, David Foster and Lukather and all these guys will be in Ray's episodes. These guys grew up together. They'll be playing on these songs.
Right.
But, like, for instance, when we do Jay Graydon's episode, perhaps we do a re-record of George Benson, Turn Your Love Around Again. Or, After the Love Is Gone. I mean, the guy has done so many iconic songs himself and go that route, So I'm so excited, and I think, look, it was Julie had a monster job clearing some of these giant songs in Hired Gun. I mean, my God, we had, everything from Steely. And by the way, Ghostbusters, we had to take out of the movie because the Ghostbusters 3 was coming around, and Sony was like, hey guys, I know that we said that we would license you the song, but we're taking that back now. We're not licensing the song anymore to anybody till February of 2017.
Yeah, thank you.
Here we'd probably spend 40 or 50 grand on that segment alone, licensing all the video footage and photographs from Getty, and our staff working tireless hours and cutting this thing together. And thank goodness for Julie and for Ray, because I didn't know that Ray, for whatever reason, had a re-record of it, that it is exactly like what you hear is not the original version from 1983 or 4 or whatever it was. It was Ray's version that he owns control over. So we were able to, not tell Sony ATV to shove it, but just did a workaround. And Julie's the one that made that happen. Thankfully we got to keep that piece because it's a crowd favorite, man.
Of course. When that
segment comes on screen in the theaters, people start applauding or just get happy. It's a happy song.
And we were just driving home last night we went out to Taco Tuesday last night. We're driving home, and of course, through the advent of Apple Music, of course, what we're listening to on the way home, Ghostbusters, and it never gets old. Just the opening sequence, that the eerie sounds and so on were very cool. And Ray, I want to ask you a question here. And I'm going to throw this on Fran, because Fran is really racist. Let me tell you why. Because he only had 2 brothers on Hired Gun, and that number one, the drummer, who was the brother playing drums? Was Stevie's drummer? Wasn't it Stevie's drummer? One of Stevie's drummer, right? And then the guy by the name of Ray, and then a guy named Ray Parker Jr. Why did you lack so much pigment?
Jackie, let me ask you: should we take a knee?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much.
God.
I'm
hysterical.
thinking to myself, there should have been so much more of Ray Parker in this, because it was, again, it was based upon that. But Ray, being surrounded by so many rock legends on Hired, were you into rock growing up in Detroit? Were you a rocker at all? Was that ever in your playlist?
Well, first of all, I did everything: classical, to rock, to country, western, to jazz. I mean, most people don't know, but I did most of Herbie Hancock records. Dizzy Gillespie, Stanley, all the Stanley Turrentine records, Nancy Wilson, Johnny Mathis. I'm on everything. So to me, there's no genre. I just play everything.
Yeah, but again, too, forgive me, because if you look deep down, your name, you're the quintessential hired gun. And that's the thing I miss, Ray, nowadays, and Fran nowadays, is the record release Tuesdays, when we actually go and get a tangible CD or an album in our hands, and we'd slice that plastic across, Ray. You remember that? Going to Tower Records on Sunset, then opening the liner notes and going, oh, man, I didn't know Ray played guitar on this song. I didn't know Jackie played percussion. So that is something now the new digital downloads, a lot of the labels now are making available a digital download of liner notes. So we have to pay homage to those who made the album and the music successful. Does Ray Parker Jr. feel that we will ever see record stores again in America? What's your opinion?
I think no. But I think that the digital music, I think that some clever person is going to come up with a way to give people more artwork when they download the songs. I still think the girls want to see pictures and artwork. I don't think everybody wants just a file and nothing going on with the file and no history to the file. I think that's why the artists today can come and go in a second. They can make one hit record today and never hear about them again, because nobody fell in love with them, because we can't really know what they look like. The cover's too small to see.
And you're speaking of Florentino and I had the pleasure. Paul was out of town, but we hung out with George Benson 3 weeks ago, I think it was. We were in San Diego together, and he was working with Kenny G. And when you look at something like this, you're talking about the hits that came out of that, to actually know that those came from those fingers, and such. And again, too, I'm going to use this. I haven't had the pleasure of recording or playing with Ray Parker. Hopefully, from my lips to God's ears, that will change, because, again, I am a fan of the situation. Now, the thing I love about this show is that people know me for being in the industry for 30 years, but now, Ray, the whole vibe has changed, as I'm a radio guy now, and so people are coming into town saying, "Hey, man, we're coming to town. You and Cappy want to come see the show?" And it's even in Los Angeles when you can't get friggin' passes. And so I want to find out more on this last segment. Again, I asked this. I'm going to ask it again. Will Fran employ Ray to do more than just Ray's music? Are you going to utilize that massive talent that you've got standing next to you? Don't answer that question now, because I want to find out. I mean, it's nothing worse than having $1 million and sitting next to the Hope Diamond and not being able to spend it. Will you employ this man? Because I know we need to help out Ray. Ray needs a couple extra dollars in his pocket. So if we can get Fran to employ Mr.
More than a couple extra dollars in his pocket.
You dig? There you go. There you go. And you guys, I got to tell you, guys, my heart's filled with joy right now, man. I'm having a great time. I'm getting a lot of personal messages from friends of mine on my phone saying, "Thank you, man. This is really, really cool to see the person behind the white little Ghostbuster," because there's so much more involved on that too. And my friend of mine goes, "My God, oh my God, Raydio, Raydio." So with that said, guys, last segment, we're going to reel it in. This next segment is going to be how we can stalk Mr. Parker, how we can stalk Mr. Strine in the good way, how we can add to his money and his beautiful basement studio. I know the man needs some help, so we're going to help him out as much as we possibly can.
Please help.
Yes.
Help.
So with that said, guys, don't go anywhere. This is going to be the last hour of an amazing 2-hour interview with Fran Strine from the Titans of Radio. New show coming up. We're going to spend a little more time on that in the next segment. And Mr. Ray Parker Jr. So, guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to reel it in. Last 18 minutes, don't go anywhere. I'm so blessed. Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, Intertalk Radio Network, connection to all things music. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Who are you going to call?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas, and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now, with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording, and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EnterTalkRadio.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, this is Michael McDonald, and you're listening to my good buddy Jackie Bertoni on Jackie's Groove.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
The only thing we can't change, guys, is we need more time than this last 18 minutes, but we're going to do our damnedest. Hey, Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network, your connection to all things music. Before I go any further, guys, give me 1 second. I want to say hello to our sponsors out there. They keep these lights above our head on, and that would be first and foremost Calvin Lee and the group over at Pitbull Audio. You can reach them at pitbullaudio.com, and their motto is, we just want you to play it loud. Also, someone I'm sure Fran and I know Ray's familiar with, and that's a company called SIR, Studio Instrument Rentals. You can reach them at sir-usa.com, one of the best companies for backline and also for rehearsal studio needs. And to my favorites, guys, I want to say hello to all my boys at Drumworks at dwdrums.com. Thank you for your support. Sabian Cymbals, who have been giving me my cymbals for the past 25 years. Vader Percussion, my drumstick company for the past 25 years. And also my favorite company, LP Music, 28 years providing me with all of my rig. And it's like their motto is, what the best players play. So with that said, guys, I'm going to jump back in and say welcome back to Jackie's Groove, Fran Strine and Mr. Ray Parker Jr. Hey, guys, let's talk about promotion here. We talk about, collaborating. We talk about, it takes a village. We can't just do things on a standalone basis. And I can speak that, quite honestly, because I couldn't do what I do without, the music. And I thank you, Ray, for the compliment. I don't know how in the hell I'm going to get in the studio with Paul's big head now that he's been complimented on his playing with Ray Parker and with Florentino. But I want to say for a second, we do the spiel. You guys already talked to him because of my screw up here on my computer. But with that said, I want to bring back the gentleman that keeps these lights on, Florentino Buenaventura. Florentino, say hi to our friends, Fran, and also Mr. Ray Parker Jr.
Hey,
Gentlemen,
Fran,
say bye
Ray,
to
how you
Florentino.
doing, buddies?
What's up? Hi, we're doing great.
Awesome. It's been a great interview. I've been enjoying this whole thing. And I had an answer for you, Ray, for the last segment. You brought up someone's going to create a technology that will incorporate album art, liner notes, all that stuff. And that's actually out there. There's a company that we've been connected with called Dot Blockchain Music. The guy who created Pledge Music is the guy who is spearheading this. Anyway, I just, for those people out there that are interested in that, DOTBLOCKCHAINMUSIC. But it's kind of a way for them to digitally track music and make sure that royalty rights are respected, that the people that played on the tracks got credited, that you can actually see who they are. So just want to let you know your vision for the future is already here. So it's pretty cool stuff.
I love it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm always late, so I love it.
No, you're not. They're just coming out, so you were right on time, brother. So
right on time. Okay, love it.
So that's that. And I wanted to kind of share. I don't want to give out too much, but me and Fran have been talking about a little project that's been a pet project where we do some recognition of some folks, and we're not going to tell too much about it yet. But I just want everyone who's listening right now that there's something special that Intertalk Radio and the folks that have created Hired Gun and the new movie coming out, Titans of Radio, are going to be doing here in the near future. It's going to be sometime around the NAMM show. So keep listening. Little tickler to the ears. We will make some announcements soon, but we're super excited about all the things you're doing, Fran. And that's why we want to do some work with you. So
cool.
Yeah. Now, with that said, as Jackie likes to use this segment as the promotional tool, one of the biggest things that we want to do is see people fund this new movie. We want them to understand that this is an important movie, and music is definitely in a state of flux, and recognizing where the past is and the accomplishments and the notability of the past helps us to define the future. And we do a lot of work with schools, and we do a lot of work with the young folks, and the more and more we've kind of gone down that pathway, we find that they're not really knowing who the people are that made those songs that they're familiar with, or who the players are, or even how the industry works anymore. And movies like Titans of Radio and going back to Hired Guns are part of that. So kind of my soapbox deal there. I just want people to recognize that this movie needs to be made. You've got some cool things on your crowdsourcing campaign. Tell us about how they can find out more about the movie, how they can get involved, and all that fun stuff, Fran.
Yeah, everybody can go to titansofradiofilm.com, and right there's a link to the Kickstarter, and there's a treasure trove of killer rewards. For as little as $6 to $10,000. Depends on what you've got to pledge and what you'd like to get in return. There's everything from the digital download of the film to a copy of the Blu-ray signed by the cast, your name in the credits, T-shirts. Kenny Ernoff has actually pledged to play on your drum tracks. You send him the music, he's going to play your drums on your track. How cool is that? I mean, the guy's a legend. He's played on, what do you tell me, 300 million albums sold, 300 Grammy Awards. He's played on everything, Skype conversations with some of the cast members, private screenings, signing guitars, all kinds of cool stuff, man. Producer credits. Visit the set. Come watch some of these songs being recorded. There's something in there for everybody. And again, this film, I feel, needs to be made. There's not been a film made on this era of musicians yet. And there's a treasure trove of information that needs to be shared with everybody, and almost like a time capsule is what this film will be for future generations to watch and be like, wow, this is really cool.
Hey Jackie, I think we need to get that Kenny Aronoff deal, because all the other tracks on your intro are live. It's just the drum tracks were done with a drum machine. But we should probably get Kenny to. How much is that one going for now, Fran? We should get that one.
He'll do two songs, I think, for $1,000.
See, there we go.
And
$1,000
and
the drum tracks.
And he'll chart out the track for you. I mean, the guy's a freak about that kind of stuff. He's so professional, and he's a beast. He's always fun to have around. He's loud and crazy. So.
And can I throw something? Oh, by the way, we're going to see Kenny in January. I didn't tell you about this, Florentino, but he's playing with Fogerty at the Wynn in Las Vegas. So he invited us, not you, but me and my wife. So I'm a little bit jealous. So, but that said, guys, I also want to throw my talents in there, if I may, Ray and Fran, for this fundraiser itself. Jackie Bertoni, you can always go to JackieBertoni.com. I will lend my talents for any percussion work that's there. I will give my fee into this campaign. And my fee's not cheap, but it's not that expensive. But I will put my best foot forward. If Fran, if you welcome that, please allow me to help you out that way. I'd love to. And if at all
I'd be
possible, because Florentino, don't go anywhere. I just want to say one thing also too. Again, this whole thing promoted
record.
You dig, but what I want to do, man, is we're talking about the Titans, but let's throw back to Ray for a second. Ray, what about your URLs, brother? You're not above and beyond by having your own website. Share with the listeners out there. How do we get a hold of Ray Parker Jr.?
Reach me easy, RayParkerJr.com. Ray Parker Jr. on Facebook, Ray Parker Jr. on Twitter. I keep my kids to sign me after everything. I'm on Instagram, wherever. You just type in Ray Parker Jr., you'll find me. Ray Parker Jr. at Gmail, Ray Parker Jr. at AOL, Ray Parker Jr. Yahoo, everything is Ray Parker Jr.
Yeah, man, because, we have to put our best foot forward, guys. We've got to keep music alive. It's up to guys like us to keep music alive. It's up to guys like me that have the platform of the radio worldwide. My favorite line is, stop stealing fucking music, people. We're not walking into your office and pissing on your computer screen on your desk. We all do this for our livelihood. We got to put food on the table for the family and pay the mortgage above the roof above our head. And we got to do our best forward to do the greater good. And I want to and Ray, I want to ask you this question, if I may. I always ask this question, and I'm real curious because you've been in music since you were a kid, since you were a young toddler there. But let's step forward for a second. If the word music / movies, whatever it may be to do with the music business, if that wasn't in your vocabulary, what would Ray be doing today?
Same thing I'm doing now.
But if there was no music to even talk about,
you mean if there was no music? I thought you meant
no music at all.
Music / movies.
No. If there was nothing to do with music.
If there was no music, I'd probably be working a job at Ford Motor Company like everybody else in Detroit.
Okay. That's fair.
My father worked at Ford for 48 years, and he wanted to get me a white-collar job instead of a blue-collar job. And, I don't know. I may have committed suicide by now, but out of complete boredom.
Yeah.
That's where things were headed. I went to college to be a drafting engineer for car parts.
That's so cool. You had something to fall back on. Hey, Ray, and let me ask this question, Ray, because of all the multitude
nothing to fall back on, by the way. I don't believe in stuff to fall back on.
I appreciate that. I respect that. But let me ask you this question. Out of all the massive hits you've had worldwide, do you remember where you were, if you were driving, if you were walking, if you were somewhere? So what was your feeling and what were you doing on the first time you heard yourself on the radio? Do you remember that far back?
Absolutely. I heard Jack and Jill on the radio while I was driving in Detroit. And they put it on the radio in Detroit, and I was with Jerry Knight, and we had two girls in a car with us. And we were driving down Jefferson, and I said, "Oh, my gosh, it's a hit, it's a hit." And he thought I meant it's a hit, but I meant we were going to hit, and somebody hit us head on, crashed, and the person died in the other car.
Shit.
Yeah, terrible accident. The person died in the other car. And then our car crunched up the hood so bad that I told everybody to jump out the car. The car just drove off into towards near the river by itself. So we just jumped out the car and landed on the ground. And I'll never forget, Jack and Jill was still playing as the car was driving off.
Whoa. Really?
Yeah. So it was quite a big hit.
I always ask that question, Ray, because you're a mutual friend, my friend, Saida Garrett, who's responsible for The Man in the Mirror. When I asked her that question, she was on the 405.
Great songs, Man in the Mirror.
Amazing.
Unbelievable song.
Yeah, man. And Ray, she was on the 405 freeway going towards the airport, and Man in the Mirror came on. And she actually had to pull off the freeway because she couldn't see past the tears in her eyes.
Right.
And I always want to ask that question because I tell all the young guys out there, hearing yourself on the radio, as I said before, Baby, I Love Your Way, all the stuff with Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys, I could be walking out of a bathroom at an undisclosed area, and I hear the music on there. Before I used to sit there and tell everybody, but now I just kind of smile and walk away. It never gets old, what doesn't get old is now that I feel like, Ray is, you've been jumped in, like Florentino will tell you, there's no getting out now. You're now part of the Intertalk Radio family. But I want to say this back to you, Fran. We were highly successful in the promotion with Hired Gun, and you gave me the honor of interviewing the stars, Rudy, and the like, and Kenny, and so on. I want to ask you, and I know the answer, but I want to be able to interview the other stars on this. You started out with Ray Parker Jr., giving me that honor. We want to do our best for the greater good to bring this to light. If you would so honor us with that situation, we'll talk about that off the air. but know that we're here for you. So Ray, with this situation, knowing that this is going to go on, I asked you, I'm going to throw back into it, about Fran, do you feel that you can afford / utilize Ray on other parts of his own music on this new release of Titans of Raydio?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm going to have to rely on him and the rest of the cast to navigate me through some of these stories and which ones are the most important and the stuff I don't even know about, because there's so much information. But look, Jay Graydon's played on so many songs, he doesn't even remember them. He's like, I don't know what songs I played on or what, you know what I mean? It's like he's played on so many. And I know he told me at the Capitol Records building, they have archives of the musicians. I guess they kept them when they had to pay them, or they had what do they have, Ray? Like telegrams or something like that?
I don't know.
You get a call or
I'm
something?
with Jay. Sometimes I'll hear a record, see my name on it, and I don't even remember doing it. It's just,
Yeah, you did?
Yeah. So, So I mean, look, Scotty Edwards, man, we're sitting at Ray's house talking. He told me he played on, Saturday Night Fever and, Peaches and Herbs.
I thought he played bass on Limestone Cowboy, too.
Oh, did he really?
I mean, yes. That's what I'm saying, man. My mind was blown when I sat there for those 3 hours. And by the way, when I talk about these arrangers, I mean, Ray has such respect for these guys. I know you were lobbying really hard for the Grammys to recognize a couple of the arrangers. One of them was a friend that had passed away. Yeah, like there's another story there that's got to be told. It's important to get this stuff together, and I feel like I'm the person to do it. I think this is a skill I have, and I love telling these stories in a way that, makes it fun for the audience to watch and really touch a nerve. So, I'm hoping that Hired Gun and Titans of Raydio is just the beginning of nailing some of these projects.
Like you say, from your lips to God's ears. It's funny, Ray, you mentioned earlier the fact that you played on Boz's new album. Just saw him. He's out right now currently with Michael McDonald. Michael's doing a split tour with Kenny Loggins and also with Boz Scaggs. And you talk about the distinguishable voices in the industry that are still out there killing it. Someone like Boz, someone like Kenny, someone like Michael, whose voices, I hate to say this, but are getting better with time, and so on. And it's that whole situation of taking your craft serious, getting out there.
I played on Michael McDonald's last album, too.
You played on a Wide Open?
I don't know what the name was, but David Page
that's
called me over his house, and
okay. Then you
play over the
that is so cool. Yeah, it's called Wide Open, and it was released on September the 15th. Michael's been my friend since 1990, so good for you. Again, there goes the liner notes, man. I would have known that. I would have known better. So what that guy said, what can I tell you, man, other than the fact that on Bended Knee, I thank you, Ray Parker Jr., for adding to my amazing roster on Jackie's Groove, along with the likes of Al Jarreau and Ann Wilson and Andy Summers from The Police. Now I can say Ray Parker Jr. And also, too, with Fran Strine. Fran, I love you, brother, like a brother I never had, man. Thank you very much for reaching out. Thank you for allowing us to grab that quintessential olive branch. I thank you. And as we go along here, even when the release of Titans of Raydio comes out, please don't forget who your friends are on the lower levels here. You got friends in high places. Absolutely. So with that said, guys, Yes.
Real quick, can I give a plug for Hired Gun where people can grab it? I know you said that people are asking. Real quick,
yeah,
brother. Blu-ray DVD on Amazon.com. You can watch it on iTunes, download it there, Google Play, Fandango Now, Xbox Live, PlayStation Store, Video On Demand, Vudu, and on your cable, Comcast, Cox, Warner Brothers, Verizon, Direct Television, Telus, Bell, Rogers, Shaw.
From Jackie's Groove.
We're done,
baby. Weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al DiMeola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.